Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leadership Journey podcast, an absolute enlightenment for leaders on how to become better, serve better, love better, and to live better. I would like you to tune in and listen open-mindedly for beneficial messages to come across to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. Welcome to the Leadership Journey podcast, a podcast that is about creating a community for global leaders to become better, to serve better, to love better, and to live better. And it has been an exciting journey because this is the season 2 of the Leadership Journey podcast. And on today's episode, we're having Thomas Armstrong from the United States. Thomas is a senior at NC State University and is also the COO of a digital marketing agency. And he's working on a mission-driven project called Share Your Why. Thomas, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Okay, great. So just to run through, I met Thomas through Parker, and you all know I talk a lot about Parker on this podcast. Parker is my good friend, and somehow there's no I won't talk about the betterment of the podcast without mentioning Parker's name, because Parker was the first guest I had on this podcast, and we've gone to be awesome friends, and he has gone to be one of those who try to make this podcast better and to make us improve. So that's why I can do without mentioning Parker. So thank you, Parker, if you're listening to this. And Thomas, let's just dive right in. So on today's episode, we'll be speaking on purpose. And I know you're big on that. You're big on that because you started your mission-driven project, which is called Share Your Why. So first of all, what is purpose to you? What do you understand by purpose?
So when it comes to purpose for me, I feel like I kind of have to go back to the beginning a little bit and share a little bit of my story because it'll help to kind of clarify like how I got to where I am right now and where I want to go. So I was born and raised right here in Raleigh, North Carolina in the United States. I was born to an entire family of entrepreneurs. So literally every single member of my entire extended family was an entrepreneur in some way. And that was a really unique experience for me because growing up, when we would sit around the dining room table, conversations weren't, oh, how was school today? They were, oh, how's that startup you're working on? And that was a pretty unique thing. I kind of figured that everybody had an experience like that, but now come to find out that that's definitely not the case. But growing up for me, there's a lot of those values of just personal ownership and integrity and designing your life to take it where you want to go. And so that for me kind of started out being my purpose. But as I got into college and I started this business called 9 Miles Media with my brother, and we've been growing that, and I got to study abroad and I got to meet all these people at university, I was like, wow, everything's going great. And from the outside, it looked like everything was going great. It looked like I was making all the right connections, going all the right places, setting myself up for success. And yet on the inside, it didn't feel right. It felt like something was empty. It felt like something was missing. And so I realized that I was doing all of these little things, but I didn't have any driving force behind it. I didn't have any sort of clear reason why I was doing any of those things. And so I was really seeking to, last summer, this is just a year ago, I was seeking to find an answer to that problem. And so that's when I sat down and really defined my personal mission statement, my purpose. And I did that by looking back at my entire life and asking the question, like, what has brought me the most fulfillment? What have I gotten a lot of joy out of? What has kind of given me energy rather than taking it away? And I realized that ever since I was a kid, I just have loved seeing the people around me be successful. I come from a family, my parents got divorced when I was very young. And so a lot of growing up for me was kind of being in the middle and trying to make sure that everybody around me was always happy and always successful. And that definitely influenced me a lot. And I find that I just get a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of helping other people to realize their goals and reach their full potential. So I set my mission statement, empowering people to dream big, take action, and achieve fulfillment through their maximum potential. And I got to tell you, David, as soon as I had that mission statement, it just lit a fire under me to want to go out there and find ways that I could achieve it, find ways that I could work towards it. And that kind of became the defining reason behind any effort that I would start. So for me, purpose has been absolutely pivotal because it's driven, in the last year or so at least, it's driven everything that I do. Not everything that I do, but almost everything that I do. And I try and keep in mind that when I'm working on different projects or doing different things, that they should stem from that purpose. So that was part of the reason behind why I started Share Your Why, which really with Share Your Why, I just wanted to combine my love for storytelling and videography with this mission of empowering other people to reach their full potential. So that's what I'm trying to do with Share Your Why. And now the Zoom accountability teams that we've been doing, you had a chance to join one just yesterday. Those teams, we've been giving people opportunities to take action themselves in their own life. And that's a really, really exciting thing for me to kind of see the growth behind it. So when you ask about purpose is it means a lot to me, and I really find that I connect with other people who see it the same way.
I love that. And I'm so sorry to hear about you being able to face the divorce of your parents at a very early stage. I'm so sorry to hear that. I know we all pass personal issues. So, and guys, this special episode, I didn't just invite Thomas just to speak randomly with Thomas or just to connect with Thomas. I have before chatting up with Thomas, and I don't know if Thomas knows that I have followed him for like months, and I had to study even before you started to share your why big on the internet, on Instagram, sorry. I've started following, and when I speak to Parker, and I can remember the episode you did with Parker, it was amazing. And I was like, wow, who is this guy? And he was like, oh, this is Thomas, yeah, in NT stage, is a senior, and he's doing as amazingly well, sorry. And I said, wow, I love it, because you went to the core of it. You spoke with passion. I can see that you're really mission driven, and we'll go to that because that's most of what you discussed with us yesterday. And me, I was like, wow, I was baffled. I said, wow, I really need to learn from this guy a lot. And I started following your posts. And when you made your first video for Share Your Why, Parker first sent it to me, and I was like, wow, check this guy out. And I said, okay, wow, thank you very much. But I have seen this video. And I watched the video and I said, wow, this is amazing. I said, okay, since then I said, okay, I'm going to invite this guy. But then I didn't chat you up. But later you did the episode with Gwyneth Paro. I don't know if I get that correctly, but you did an episode that's on self-realization, if I should get that right. I love that episode. And after you did the episode with Jordan Bauman, which was an awesome episode also. And I saw you're not just talking on anyhow topics, but you are talking on real in-depth topics that is majorly needed for young people right now. And that's on mentoring, that is on self-realization, that is on purpose, that is on growth. And you really dive into that. And I said, wow, I need to bring this guy on. And first of all, I was just trying to get to know you more. I would chat with Parker, listen to your episode, go through your page. And when you started to share, I followed it. I said, wow, this is amazing. I love this. And I had to reach out to you and say, guy, I really need to learn from you more. And the first Share Why I signed up for, guys, I just need to let you know that I wasn't able to follow through with the first one because of the difference.
I felt bad, David, because we were doing all these challenge teams, the Zoom accountability groups, like late at night in the US. And then that minute was like 3 a.m. for you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. And I was seriously feeling bad, like, wow. And Parker specifically told me, it was like, guy, you need to check this out. You need to join this group. It will help a lot. And that's why I so much love Parker, because we get to share things together. We just speak a lot. And it gets to, whenever he sees new things, and I know you know that about Parker, he gets excited and wants to share that with people. Okay, guy, check this and check this out. I said, wow. But unfortunately, I wasn't able. And I said, when I saw this second challenging submission application, I said, well, I need to sign up for this. And we did the first meeting yesterday, and it was awesome. But we'll go through that. So now I understood that you have to fight for your purpose. You have to struggle in order to find your purpose. That is you being able to, you being in this systematic model that is in which everyone being an entrepreneur in your family, and you won't want to disappoint them. You want to suit to what is being laid down. How were you able to discover your purpose in that? Because I know it's surely not going to be easy. It's surely not going to be easy because it will take time to take in-depth realization of yourself, to take in-depth thinking of who you are and what you want to become and who you want to serve. So just take us through that journey, how it was for you in discovering your purpose through that journey.
Yeah, happy to. And just real quick, you talk about learning from me. I have a lot to learn from you too. I'm trying to approach this entire thing with Share Your Why as just like, I'm at the very beginning of the journey. There's so much more left to learn, and there's so much more that I can get from other people around me. So I'm excited to continue to learn from you as well in the process. But when it comes to, you spoke a little bit about, the influence like from my parents and from everybody being entrepreneurs, and also just how that led to me finding my purpose. I really like entrepreneurship and the influence of it because it just breeds this knowing that, hey, you can do whatever you want to do and you can have whatever impact you want to have, especially through entrepreneurship. So for me, it wasn't a situation where I felt really pressured by my parents to go into something like that. It was more like liberating because I was told from a young age, like, hey, you can go out and have whatever impact you want to have. And not necessarily told, but I was shown that because there were people in my life who were going through those experiences, who were starting companies, who were starting organizations, and watching them, grow and face challenges and fail sometimes and learning from that too, So I think that's something that I definitely have brought through with Share Your Why, is I'm trying to help to show people that, you don't necessarily have to follow this one path that you might think you have to follow. I'm not saying that applies to everybody's situation or everybody's career path or anything they want to do. But in general, I think, especially just the people I've been speaking with from my experience, talk a lot about feeling this pressure to follow doing it a certain way. And I think it is really limiting because it'll stop you from doing things that'll really get you to a place in life where you feel really fulfilled, and not just an end destination, right? But actually feeling fulfillment along the journey of getting there because you feel like you have control over it. I think us as humans, if there's one thing from my experience that I found, is that I really like the things where I feel like I have control over it and I get to choose it. And then the things where I don't feel like I have control over it or I didn't opt into it are not quite as much fun.
I love that. So if for you, it was just you were interested in the path of entrepreneurship. That was for you. So it wasn't that difficult for you to, if sure it would be difficult, but wasn't that tough for you to find out because you were interested in entrepreneurship. And I love that. And let me just remind you, Thomas' value is to empower people to dream big and achieve whatever they dream to achieve. And that is awesome. I love that. And I think we kind of align in this area. For me, mine is to provide good any services or product that would help you to achieve more, that would help you to achieve whatever you want to achieve. That is the same thing we're trying to do with the podcast, for leaders to become better, to serve better, to love better. That is, we are bringing out content that would make you better, that would make you love people better, that will make you serve people better, that will make you yourself become better and lead better. And I so much love that. And I think that aligns together. So now you just took us through the journey of how to find the purpose for yourself. But now my question is this question is for someone outside listening to us wherever they are, right? And I think I would chip into that. But when, do you think there are limiting beliefs that avoids us from discovering our purpose?
So I think the question is, do I think there's any limiting beliefs that prevent us from getting to our purpose?
Discovering our purpose.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I definitely think there are some limiting beliefs when it comes to finding one's purpose. I experienced some of them myself. I remember that was a big reason why we put together the Limiting Beliefs Challenge team, where we got people together and said, like, hey, what are these beliefs that we have about ourselves and our own abilities and our own potential that are likely limiting our potential, right? I had this limiting belief that I would never be able to get past this fear of getting feedback from other people and this just gut negative feeling that I get when I hear that feedback from people. And that was handicapping me from going after my mission and going after achieving what I wanted to achieve, because I was so worried that I might fail. And I was so worried that I might get some of that negative feedback from people around me. So then I went through the process of trying to replace that with an affirmation of, I can be successful and I can be aware of what the people around me think of what I'm doing, but I'm not going to let that control me, right? I'm going to chart my own path. And I'm going to certainly, remain aware of the feedback and remain aware of those things, but I'm going to chart my own path and decide my own way forward. So that was pretty empowering for me to join that challenge team and get that out of it. When it comes to generally people setting their own purpose, we also did a challenge team about creating a mission statement. And a lot of the people's thoughts that they shared were things along the lines of, thinking, I can't do two things at once because society kind of tells me I can only do one thing at once. Limiting beliefs like, oh, wow, this has to last forever. Like I'm about to set my mission for life. This is my lifelong purpose. And so they have this limiting belief that it has to last forever. And it's totally not malleable, which I would have to disagree with. And we kind of worked through those ideas. And even just limiting beliefs about, I have to follow the path that was set forth for me by society or by my peers or by my parents. I have to follow that path. So helping people to kind of work through that and see that they have a lot more control in their world than they think.
Wow. Oh, I love that. So, and that is true what Thomas just said, because we sometimes we get to put this pressure and beliefs on ourselves. We set it on ourselves because we are so bothered of what people think of us. We are so bothered of what people are saying about us. And this is it. Let me correct this. I am not fully into avoiding what other people say about. I am into, whenever people talk about me, I want to know what they're talking about. What can I pick from what they are saying? Because sometimes what they say can be true, but because of putting on deaf ears on what they are saying, you would avoid how to take what they said and put that. But let me now say this again. Whenever you're trying to pick that and learn from what people are saying about you, that does not mean you should put that pressure on yourself. That does not mean you should accept what they say and use it to destabilize yourself or use it to destroy yourself. Pick whatever they say and reflect on yourself. Is this true or not? If you believe this is not, put it off. But whatever you believe is true, pick it and use it to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we try to say, close all doors to whatever people are saying or to whatever people are thinking. I do not totally go into that because sometimes we may be ignorant of the facts that we get to come short at these kind of things that people are saying. But try to pick out from what they are saying and make yourself to feel better. Now back to the limiting beliefs.
Real quick, just a quick on that one. It's a really good point you're making. I totally agree with you. I had a great follow-up conversation with my friend Gareth, you were mentioning earlier, after our podcast. And I was sharing with her like some of these challenges I was facing of just like, getting some negative feedback about some things, whether it was at work or with Share Your Why or with anybody I'm working with. And just like feeling kind of hung up on it, and feeling those negative emotions. And I was confused. I wasn't sure like, hey, should I just try and like block this out? Should I try and block out the emotions and just not feel them and kind of bypass them? Or should I try and follow the advice of, go through it because the only way past it is through it, right? And she helped me to realize that there's a little bit of both you can actually do. They're not mutually exclusive. So like you can be open to the feedback and you can experience the emotions. Like the emotions aren't going to go away. And if you try and skip over the emotions, they're just going to resurface later. So instead, feel the emotions, but just like you said, try and kind of disconnect that from any sort of perception that you have about yourself, So let's say somebody said, hey, I don't like the company that you're starting. I don't like the mission behind it. Understand that feedback and take that feedback and maybe feel the disappointment that's going to naturally be felt because you're a human, right? But don't necessarily automatically let that impact your long-term goals with the company or your established plans or just your thoughts about your value and your contributions towards that company or anything that you're working on. Obviously, if you hear the same feedback over and over again from a variety of different sources and they're all credible, then maybe that's something you should consider a little bit more. But especially when it's in small quantities, you want to make sure to not let that feedback be taken too much to heart and not directly influence the way that you view yourself or the value that you bring. So I like to kind of think of it as like parsing through it intellectually a little bit and then also feeling the emotion of it and not trying to bypass any of that, but being careful to guard ourselves in the way that we view ourselves.
I love that. And that sums it up. I love that. Because whenever I chat with people, I really love it when we get to align on same ground. We get to believe in same things. And I think I also spoke about that yesterday while we were in the challenge thing on how we can use that to connect with people. But aside that, I love that what you just said. And that is true because you do not forget the mission is to make yourself better. The mission is for you to serve people more, love people more, and lead people more, to become better generally. That is what the whole mission is for. So you don't just want to shut out what people are saying about you, but you want to use it and make yourself better. So that is it. I love that. I think I'm so much happy that you're getting to put yourself in this conversation because most times I haven't really seen it on the podcast when I get to interview people or get to speak with people majorly, not really interview because I'm not really interviewing people, but just to chat with people. And whenever I love it when the people I'm trying to chat are really into the conversation, are ready to impute a lot to myself and to the listeners. And I think that's what you're trying to do now. And I really respect and love that. So thank you very much. Now, let me just move to the next discussion. Now, so many people right now, and I think you know that because I really I talk a lot about a lot of that with a lot of youth right now, a lot of young people right now are finding it difficult to discover their purpose. Like I was reading Wall Street Journal some days back, and was it Wall Street Journal? I can't really remember what publishing company was that. And they were trying to talk on how youth are how the percentage of youth haven't discovered who they are, haven't discovered their purpose, and still just wandering around and moving here, doing this, doing that, or still haven't discovered their purpose. Like, how do you think they can? What are the steps they should take, or what are things to look at in discovering their purpose?
Yeah, it's a question I've received quite a bit, and it's one of those things where I definitely don't see myself as like an expert in this. I've been through it a solid amount of times, and I ran the mission statements challenge team, but I was really more of just a facilitator, just allowing people to kind of to speak for themselves and take personal ownership in their own education and in their own advancement as a person. When I'm happy to share the experience of kind of how I went through the process, and that's what I did with that group. And then I can share some of the things that they did, but definitely not claiming to be an expert in this, because it would be a lifelong journey to try and get there. So for me personally,
Yeah.
I sat down, like I said, last summer, and I just started asking some of those questions. And honestly, I got the questions just by Googling like how to create a mission statement, right? So I just like Googled that. I found some people who suggested like, hey, maybe you should make a core value list first and then create a mission statement based off of those. So that's what I chose to do. So I got a list of literally like 200 adjectives that could be potential core values. And then I started handwriting them out just over and over again. And I would handwrite them, and then I would handwrite them again, but only handwrite the ones that really spoke to me as I was writing them, and then handwrite them again. And I would only handwrite the ones that truly spoke to me while I was writing them, And here, actually, let me just pull this up so your viewers can see the exact thing. It'd be kind of cool for them to be able to see. Okay, here we go. So as you can see right here, I literally just wrote down these values and then continued to refine them and refine them and,
Wow.
and then highlight the ones that I really wanted, continue to refine them until I got to the point where I had a very clear list of personal values. And then as soon as I had the list of personal values that really resonated with me and felt like they could for the long term, not that they could ever change, of course, but fairly long term, then I took those and started asking myself other questions, but kind of through the lens of those about how could I create a mission statement. And so I literally just like Googled, questions to ask. It's like things like, what are you fulfilled? What do you feel like you would be fulfilled by? Like, what have you been fulfilled by in the past? What brings you joy? What brings you energy versus what takes away energy? Sometimes it's also important to look at the stuff that is not as good in your eyes so you can see, the dichotomy between the two. And so I answered all these questions, started to kind of boil it down and just kind of like highlight words or little phrases that I knew I wanted to include. I knew I wanted to do something just fundamentally that was about pouring into other people. I knew I wanted to do something that was about pouring into other people. I didn't know what the verb I wanted to be there. I ended up settling on empowering because I wanted to give people the power to take action themselves rather than just like helping or, doing something for somebody. And then I was like, hey, what do I want to do for these people? Where do I feel like I could add value? And I love the idea of thinking big about their own purpose, about taking action. I felt like there would be a void if I didn't put in there taking action. And that's kind of, embodied with the challenge teams. And then achieving fulfillment is a really important one for me because I learned early on that, at least in my opinion and in some of the books that I've read, I really think that fulfillment is like happiness is going to be, going to come and go every single day. And it should, those emotions that we experience should come and go every day. But fulfillment is something that you can feel as a constant, relative constant throughout what you're doing. If, in my opinion, at least in my experience, when the times I've been working towards my purpose and towards achieving this mission, I've felt far more fulfilled than the times that I was not. So yeah, that's how I kind of arrived at the mission statement, empowering people to dream big, take action, and achieve fulfillment through their maximum potential. Hopefully the breakdown's helpful. But then when we had the mission statements challenge team, I just, I told everybody that story. And again, I said like, hey, I'm not the expert, but hopefully this story is helpful to you. And then I was amazed. People went out there and researched their own process. They did the Googling, they looked at all the articles, they looked at these different people who had said how they did it, and then they all created their own process, which I think is the truly magical part, is people taking ownership in their own education and in their own self-development by creating their own process rather than having one being handed to them on a silver platter, with a curriculum or anything like that. So that would be one thing I could encourage everybody, if you're looking to get clear on your mission or your why or your purpose, to consider, doing the research on your own and kind of going through the process, even if it takes a couple of weeks, and also talk to the people around you. I shared my mission statement with my family and close friends. That had a huge impact on what I ended up defining as my final mission statement. So that's kind of the experience that I can share.
I love that. And just to be clear, myself and Thomas, we are not an expert on this, but we are just young people trying to extend our influence outside what we know, what we've learned, just make the world a better place, make ourselves better, make you better. And you can also pass that to your friends and family. That is what we are just doing right. We are not experts. And I think I'm finding so much things that myself and Thomas, we are so much common about. So I know you love to read books a lot. You love to read books a lot. And I also love to read books a lot. And yesterday I saw you sharing You just brought one of my favorite book out. That is the Lean Startup. And over here, I have the Good to Great. Over here, I have the Richest Man in Babylon.
There you go.
Wow, amazing. I love that. I love that. I have the Good to Great. I have the Richest Man in Babylon. I have the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I have the 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork by John Maxwell. I have the 1 Minute Manager. I have the Zig Ziglar's book.
Did you say you have the 1 Minute Manager book? You have 1 Minute Manager? That's one of my favorite books. Nobody ever knows about it. That's awesome.
Yeah. 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard and Spencer Johnson.
We use that at 9 Miles Media every single day.
An amazing book, phenomenal.
We use it at 9 Miles, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love that book. And now, that's just by it. What are the materials you advise, or what are the books you advise or you recommend to people in discovering their purpose?
Sorry, the question was, what books do I recommend?
Yeah.
For discovering. So when I went through the process of defining my mission, I didn't really read any specific books beforehand. I just kind of did a lot of Googling, a lot of reading articles and short essays and stuff like that. But after there is one book that I've read that I wish I had read before I created my mission. And it is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, which is pretty incredible. It's a beautiful book. It's by Mark Manson. If you haven't heard of him before, he's really awesome. It's fundamentally about how it's about how life is problems. There's always going to be problems to solve. And that's actually what we thrive on as humans. And so this idea in society that we're trying to get rid of our problems and we're just trying to be happy all the time is actually not really accurate. It's really like, hey, we're going to be happy because we're going to have fulfillment because we're solving these problems. And the goal in life should be the pursuit of better and better problems. So I really liked reading that. And that definitely would have had a big influence on my mission if I had read it before I made it.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. I also read that book, and I also have that in my library. And that is a phenomenal book. Seriously, that's going to help you a lot. It's going to understand. It helps you understand who you are more. It helps you understand what you can do as a human being, to know that you're just a human. How will I put this? You are just created as everyone else. That is what I want to say. I don't want to say you don't have superpowers, but I think decision making is one of our superpowers. So I would say you're not more than, I'm not more than Thomas. Thomas is not more than me. Thomas is not more than Parker. We're all the same. That is what I'm trying to say. So we all face some sort of same problems, sort of same challenges, but in different ways, in different phases, in different time. But we are all the same, and we get to conquer those challenges, and we get to know who we are better more. That is all what I'm trying to in context. But that book is a phenomenal book. It's going to let you understand yourself more, let you to understand who you are more, and to know who you can become. I really love that book. That's great. So now, I have a lot of questions here to ask, but I do not want to just bore you with all those questions and for the sake of our listeners. So let me just go to the experience you had with Alex. And by the way, everyone, Alex Banyan is an international author, the author of the Third Door. Yeah, the Third Door, Alex Banyan. And I was opportune to follow Thomas on the journey because he was also keeping us updated on his Instagram story to know the journey of how he's improving and how it's going. So right now, Thomas will take us through that story. So up to you, Thomas.
Yeah, it's a fun story to tell. I've been having fun sharing it with some people. The first challenge team that we did was called Dream Connect. And the problem statement that all 6 or 7 of us that joined it came in with, the problem that we all agreed that we had was that we had these really high-level mentors, like celebrity high-level mentors that we would love to connect with. And yet we had never gone out there and actually tried to shoot them a message or an email or a LinkedIn request or anything. And so we were like, why don't we just give it a shot? We're in COVID times right now. People might be more willing to respond than they usually are. Why don't we just give it a shot? And so that's what we did. We got this group together. We met once a week for 4 weeks and just kind of, we sent out a lot of cold emails, a lot of cold LinkedIn messages, found people's emails in all these crazy ways, did crazy things, wrote a bunch of handwritten notes and sent them off. And one of the people that I decided I would love to connect with to have as kind of a mentor would be Alex Banayan, because he wrote this book called The Third Door that really just impacted me a lot. And it helped me to see that, there is always a third door. There's always some crazy way that you can get into wherever you want to be in life, whether it's...
Okay, Thomas.
Yes.
So sorry to cut you off there, but I just want to make an announcement to everyone. So everyone, when Thomas, first of all, made this news on his Instagram story, and he brought up when he was telling us the story, I had to, because I didn't have the hard copy as at then, and I still don't have it, but I had to go and download the software. So for you to know the influence you had on me, to just get to know who Alex is and to get a feel of what he does, that and download the book. Sorry, that is the third door. I just needed to read that out to know that. So I have been following Thomas for so long.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. But so we had that Dream Connections Challenge team, and one of my commitments was to shoot a cold email to Alex. And so I literally just guessed his email address and sent it out, just explaining a little bit about who I was. And I told him like, hey, I know you're busy. It's only take 30 seconds to read, all that good stuff. And I sent it to him and he responded. And, he responded to the email and I was like, okay, I got to do something to really up the ante here, to really like find a way to be able to talk to him, whether it's in person or on the phone or over Zoom. And I was like, what could I do that would kind of take the third door route of trying to go outside the normal process and do something crazy to get where you want to go? So I decided, hey, why don't I leverage my skills with a video and just make him a video? So I made him this little 30-second video trying to convince him to let me come meet him in person in Los Angeles. And for people not in the United States, Los Angeles is on the completely other side of the United States. It's like a 5-hour plane ride away from where I live in North Carolina, East Coast. And so I made this video and I just sent it to him. And the final thing in the video is just like, hey, here's the dates in October. Alex, can we make it happen? Is there any chance? And he said yes. He said he'd be willing to meet with me in person. Wow. And so literally like it was the next weekend, like it was like 6 days away. I had to book the flight really quickly. And I flew out there to meet this guy. And I'm not the guy, David, to usually like try and, fly by the seat of my pants and just like book a flight and figure it out when I get there. But that's what I did this time. And it was really incredible. It was really cool. I just like told every Uber driver the story. And I ended up having the chance to meet Alex. He gave me some great advice and I learned a ton through it and just made it into an adventure, so it gets me excited thinking about doing more adventures like that in the future and even getting other people involved too.
Wow. Wow. That is seriously, wow. I really can't find a word for that. Wow. Because so to our listeners in Nigeria, let me just relate that. So I think for me to relate that to what Alex is saying, that's like me saying I sending an email to Sam Adeyemi. And by the way, for everyone outside Nigeria, Sam Adeyemi is a global leadership speaker and a consultant. He has spoken at the Global Leadership Summit at Chicago, and of recently was just inducted into the Forbes Council. That was yesterday. The Forbes Council 2020 was inducted, and also I'm a phenomenal leader. So to Nigerians, let me get back. So that what Thomas did was just like me sending an email to Sam Adeyemi, telling him I want to meet with him, and Sam Adeyemi just replying me back and telling me I should just get on the flight to come and meet me at a so date. Wow, that is amazing.
He didn't tell me to get on a flight. He just responded and said, he said like, hey, love your story. That's all he said in his email. So then it was up to me to make the video and try and convince him to, let me come and meet him in person.
Well, okay. Yeah. Wow. That is phenomenal. Seriously. Because first of all, let me clear this up. That takes boldness, that takes courage for you to do that. Let me just clear that up. Because for me, I don't think I have that. But with this, I think you've inspired me to do that. Seriously. Because I don't think I can really do that and obviously, I think you tried on your email, you trying to email Elon Musk. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he was on the list. Yeah, there's several people I've tried to email, and some of them even like open the emails. I've actually got a meeting, I think later this week with a representative of Simon Sinek who might be able to get me in touch with Simon Sinek. Wow. And so, yeah, I tell you what, if you email these people and share your story in this convincing format, I mean, it's very doable.
Wow. I love that. Seriously. I love, like, when I especially this Alex story, I told it to my dad. My dad was like, wow, that is amazing. I told it to some other friends. I said, and they were like surprised. They had to Google Alex. They went to Google Alex to find out who Alex is. I also had to do the same thing when you posted it on your story. And I saw it and I said, wow, this is amazing.
So David, let me ask you this. What's stopping you from doing the same thing?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think that is what you try to approach. I think the fear of them not getting back to me. I think the fear of them not replying me or not even giving. And I think I tried that one time because I sent an email to Fela Drotoye, that is an awesome leader right here in Nigeria. and to Nigerians, they know him. He also ran for the last year presidential race. He ran for the last year presidential race. But when he lost, I had to send him an email just to encourage him and to let him know the influence he has on me, and not for him not to give up. And it was interesting that he read it, but no no reply or any sort of. But I think just the fear of not getting a reply or not even seeing any action or stuff like that, I think that is what is stopping me. But with this, I think I'm going to go back to it and give it a try. Serious. And I think everyone needs to do that, because we just need to conquer our fears. We need to conquer our fears and do things that are extraordinary. And I love that. Wow. Kudos to you, Thomas.
Trying it. Yeah, the only way to do it is by trying it, right? Yeah, kudos to you. Give it a shot. It'd be fun.
Wow. I think we spoke on a lot today. But before we leave, Thomas, this is my question. I won't say my last question, but I think second to the last. Now, what is your advice to people finding your purpose? I know you've stated how people can find their purpose, but what is your advice to people on that journey of finding their purpose, on knowing who they are, understanding who they are, in order to serve the community and make the world a better place?
So honestly, my advice for anybody who's out there looking to find their purpose is, if you can, find some way to hold yourself accountable to it. It's one of those things that oftentimes we're not really going to make it a priority, because it seems like this really ambiguous, nebulous, kind of challenging, but like really big picture thing. And even though we probably understand like, hey, there's something I really want to do and it'll have a really good long-term impact, it's hard to feel that really viscerally. And so I think having like a challenge team, or having just a group of 2 or 3 friends who all want to do that sort of thing together, and you get together over Zoom or in person, or just having family members or friends who are keeping you accountable, and you tell them like, hey, every week I want to spend 3 hours working on my purpose or something, having that sort of structured accountability will help a lot as you try and kind of define it.
Wow. Oh, and that is true, because I think my advice to everyone discovering their purpose, because for me, I also had to pass through the journey in discovering my purpose. It took me a long time for me to discover who I am and to discover what I want to do in this world, the impact I want to make in this world. And it took me a lot of time, because I had to read a lot of books. I had to sit down and meditate and think through of my life. I had to meet with mentors. I had to meet with people older than me to get advice. So I think for me, it was a little bit longer journey for me. It was a difficult thing for me. And I think you can say, for you, it might be easy. For those listening to us, it might be easy. And for another person, it might not. So, but just stick to it and finding your purpose. Stick to the journey of finding your purpose. Because, and as J. Shetty do say, it says, finding your purpose is stripping down every belief you have, stripping down every relationship you have, stripping down to your true self. It says, find a purpose is like that feeling you have of a newborn baby that is just giving birth to. That feeling that baby has, that is in a way we can find our purpose, because you have no attachment, you have no nothing that can get to cloud your purpose, but you just staying true, staying clean, staying righteous. Is that time you get easy? I need to clear that out. It won't be easy, but just stick with us to advise you, to walk you through the journey. Try to find the world in which we are in. Go through with Google. You can also go through that method with checking out with YouTube. Is an amazing platform that would help you on that journey. Check out with amazing authors, speakers. Try to find out with Thomas said Simon. Try to check out Robin Sharma. Try to check out with Robin Sharma. Try to check out with J. Shetty and other amazing speakers and authors like that, because they will help you a lot in discovering your purpose. Seriously, they will help you a lot in discovering your purpose. Yeah. Thank you, Thomas, so much. It's been an amazing journey for the past, 30 minutes or so. It's been an amazing journey with you. Thank you so much. Before we go, I just needed to share a little snippet with how people can connect with Share Your Why, how people can join you on that journey, and how they can be accountable on that journey.
Yeah. So that's really the power of it, right? Is finding ways to not just, feel, well, first you got to know, hey, I really want to take action in these areas of my life. Then you got to be like, okay, I really want to do it like today. And then you got to be, okay, I got to find some sort of accountability, some sort of peer community that'll help me to actually get there and keep me accountable to doing it. Because all the things we're talking about are very possible. I mean, like you said, David, like there's nothing holding you back from just typing an email and sending it to this guy. And yet we don't really do it, right? We usually don't do it because because there's no accountability there. Even I didn't do it until I had the accountability of the challenge team. So I would love to invite anybody listening to the podcast to come join for a challenge team. They're totally free. They're really just, opportunities for me to grow myself. And then I want to get other people in there growing at the same time. So please consider doing that. You can check out my Instagram at tg.armstrong. It's tg.armstrong. But biggest thing, if there is anybody who is in the US listening, you can text in at 919-391-3882. This is my phone number. You can text 919-391-3882. Internationally might be a little bit more difficult. So maybe shoot me an email or shoot me a Instagram DM instead. My email is thomas@snapfirestudios.com. But yeah, get connected on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn with what I'm doing. It's all just on my personal accounts, and would love to have conversations with anybody listening. I really just love talking to people and love spending time and finding ways that I can help to, again, empower people to achieve their full potential. So please let me know, anybody listening, how I can support you. And David, really looking forward to staying connected with you as well. I really appreciate the opportunity today. I hope we can do it again sometime.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And sure, I would love to have you, even if we can really find that time, but I'll make sure to find the time to connect with you and bring you on back again, because I think this is a whole big subject to talk about, and being able to share that with you is an amazing experience, is an awesome privilege to share that with you. I know how tight your schedule is, but you making out the time to sit down with me today and other listeners around the world, right? That is amazing. Thank you so much, Thomas. So guys, do not forget to check out Thomas on Instagram at tg.armstrong and texting for those in the US. And I think majorly our listeners are between the US, Nigeria, and I think the UK. That's where most of our listeners evolve out of. So try to check him out and connect with him if you want to. And just to say that I'm also part of the current challenge team, the powerful intros. Yeah, the powerful intros. I am also part of that. And I think we would have to leave it right here so me and Thomas can chat a little bit. So if you love this podcast, this episode, do not forget to leave us a review on Apple or wherever you listen to the podcast around the world. And to support the podcast, check our link in the bio to connect with us. Check our link in the bio with us and wherever you're listening. So thank you very much, Thomas, for connecting with us today. And to you listening to us, thank you very, very much, because you're the one giving me the strength to keep pushing, to keep inviting more interesting guests, to keep inviting more amazing guests. And trust me, we have some amazing guests for this season. So thank you so much. Do not forget to become better. Do not forget to serve better. Do not forget to love better. And do not forget to lead better. And as I do say, we are all in this world to help each other. We are all in this world to support each other. We're all in this world to make each other better. So till we meet next time, thank you for joining me on today's episode, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.
We would like to show our appreciation to as many that tuned in. We hope you enjoyed every bit of this episode. Please do make it a date to join us next week for another wonderful episode of the Leadership Journey. Let's endeavor to inform our friends and colleagues, and I promise you won't regret it. See you next week and stay tuned. Bye-bye.